So since I was out shooting a YouTube video anyway for the Can-Am, I thought I would go over something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, is surviving out in these kind of conditions. I've worked most of my adult life in jobs that we go out in pretty terrible conditions in snowcats and helicopters. So we've taken several winter survival courses over the years. And I want to share just one little tidbit out of those courses for one of the necessities if you're going to survive out in the weather like this. Of course, there's the snow cave things, shelters, all that kind of stuff. But I want to talk today a little bit about building fires. And one of my new favorite things for building fires that's really, really easy to carry with you. The last course I took, well, let's go back. The two courses before, they talked about, the flares, candles, those little pink candles. That course, the instructor actually said they're better than the flares and showed us why. I won't get into all that in this video. But this last course we took, same instructor, just 15 years later, he's still teaching courses. He's a rescue expert up in the Mount Hood area. I think he may be the head of search and rescue in that area. I don't remember all the specifics, but they teach a really good course. And one of the things he showed us during this new course is this little guy. I think this is called a Strike Force, made by UST. This thing is kind of the cat's meow for survival, winter survival, or just survival in general. You can carry this in your pack, in your pocket, and you've got a complete fire starter kit right here with you. And I know there's always the guys out there, and I've worked with some of them. Well, I carry a Bic lighter, so I'm going to be able to start a fire. No matter where I'm at, I've got that Bic lighter with me. Well, let me tell you from experience that Bic lighters and really cold weather don't mix real well. One is butane when it gets cold, even though it may be sitting next to your leg that whole time. As soon as you take it out and it's 20, 30 below and you got wind blowing, that thing cools off so fast you cannot keep it warm enough to start a fire with it. I guarantee it. I've tried it. I've been in a couple of situations where my hands got so incredibly cold, and this is my second point. Right now, my hands, I've been out here shooting a video, my hands are pretty cold right now. I could probably still use a lighter, but your dexterity, like right now, my dexterity has gone down quite a bit because I've been out here probably an hour, not been wearing gloves, and mainly just so I could shoot this video. And I've been into situations where my hands were so cold, I couldn't open the door to either the snowcat, and the worst I think I've had was it was a military surplus rig. I think it was a CJ7 Air Force Jeep that they decided they were going to buy this thing and put what they call mat tracks on it. It's kind of like the tracks they put on these things, except for Jeeps. This is, oh man, it's got to be coming on 20 years ago now. I guess it is 20 years ago. It's about the year 2000. Man, time flies. Anyway, they put these stupid tracks on this thing because they didn't want to spend the money on the snowcat. It's just funny the way people think. We're trying to, instead of spending $130,000 on a decent snowcat, we're going to get this military Jeep for free and buy $20,000, $30,000 worth of tracks and stick on it and expect it to go the same place you'd take a snowcat. And around this area, this side of Oregon, Oregon's pretty well known for wet snow. Well, this side of Oregon, the east side's got a lot of really dry snow. So that thing was the biggest piece of junk. We took it into a site. It's about a 30-mile trip back in there. We got back in there, and it did fine in the snow down lower where it was a little more compact. But once we got up high, where the powdery snow, drifting snow, the thing was nothing but a nightmare. We got that thing stuck. I don't know how many times. I'd say almost 100 times it seemed like. It's probably around 30, but every time we got it stuck, we had to drag that cable, and up where we were at, the snow's about 6 foot deep and about this high in powder snow. So we're dragging that darn cable out to the next tree to get the thing unstuck from the last drift it's stuck in. over and over and over again. And the guy that was driving it from the west side, he refused to give up. He just was sure we could make it into that site. And my hands got so cold that day. I had double layer gloves, and they were pretty good Columbia gloves on, the real thick snowmobiling type gloves. My hands got so cold, I could barely, get enough grip on that cable. The only reason I could drag it is I get my hand up against the hook, and it's just kind of a stump, it felt like, out there, just dragging that cable through the snow. I couldn't even open the door to the Jeep to get back in to warm up. Yeah, it was a terrible day. I got a little frostbite from that, and like today, I can feel the effects still from that. So if that turned into a survival situation where we had to stay there, which we almost wound up doing because the steering mechanism on that Jeep broke. It put so much torque on the steering. Those Jeeps were never meant to have those big old tracks hanging out there. So it broke the steering box physically off of the front end of that Jeep. It was a nightmare. But we did make it out, and we kind of lashed it on with a binding and held it in place to where we could get out to the road. But had that turned into a survival situation, it was up to me to make a fire with a Bic lighter, I guarantee there was no way I could have physically operated. There was no dexterity there to operate a Bic lighter. That's one of the nice things about this little guy, even though my hands are fairly cold. And I think right now, I don't know if I could operate a Bic lighter. It's about 22 degrees up here right now. But I do have enough strength in the palm of my hands to hold this and be able to create a spark with this. Even though, hopefully that's showing up, even though my hands are cold and my fingers aren't working quite right, I can still spark and make a fire with this. I'll go over here into the trees and show you why this is kind of an all-in-one kit, because it's got a little hidden pocket in it that you can put some fire starter. So let's go over and I'll show you how this thing actually works. Enough yakking. One thing I want to mention, in a winter survival situation, in most cases, if you're out in the boonies, you're on a UTV, snowmobile, whatever it is, snowcat, one of the things I kind of want to stress is our natural reaction is to start heading back to the road, the vehicle, wherever. And a lot of times that's a mistake. Unless you're fairly close, like within just a few miles, I would, as long as somebody knows that you're missing within a day, I would stay put. Have enough supplies with you to be able to eat for a day. Keep that in your pack, an MRE or something. Protein bars, whatever it happens to be. Keep enough that you have water, a little bit of food, and some way to make fire. And this is my preferred way now to make fire when you're out in the woods. One thing that seems to come up on these conversations is whether you need to dig clear down to ground to build your fire. Absolutely not. If you're freezing, pack the snow down, get a fire built, keep some wood on hand close by. Eventually, that fire is going to melt down through the snow, but in that meantime, you can be warming up and pushing the snow down, pushing it out, and make yourself a hole next to the fire. But get a fire going as soon as you can to keep warmed up, especially if you've made the mistake to come out with cotton clothes on. Cotton clothes are killers. And here I am wearing cotton pants right now. But if you're really going out and expect to be in a location you're not going to be able to get help fairly soon, don't wear cotton clothes. But wool, polypropylene, whatever, wear something besides cotton. So you need to stay warm. If you're not warm, hypothermia is going to set in fairly quick. You're not going to think rationally. You're going to make dumb decisions. So get yourself a fire, get warmed up. Even if it's you just pat the snow down an area, get something built. As it melts down, as you're warming up, you can create a bigger area and you can get down in there with the fire. But don't try and dig a hole clear down to the ground. If you're in 6-8 feet of snow, man, you burn a lot of energy, get a lot of sweat on you, and then you get a wind behind that, and that sweat, that's one of the things that happened to me during that incident with the Jeep, is I just got covered in sweat, And even though I was wearing polypropylene long johns, I still got extremely cold because as soon as that wind started cutting through the outer layer of my clothes, boy, I got cold so quick up there. It took, it's about a 130-mile ride back to the house. And I had the rig cranked up full bore, and I never did get warm until I got home and took a hot shower. So anyway, let's talk about building a fire. Try and find as dry as material as you can, obviously. And like here, we've had quite a bit of rain, a lot of really wet snow lately. So this isn't the driest material. It's not bad at all. It does crack fairly easy. But what I like to do is get a bed of, not real big twigs, but decent sized twigs down there. And make yourself a little bed. And sometimes it even works pretty good to get these medium-sized twigs and build yourself a little bed down there to put the rest of your material on. And eventually this stuff will start burning itself, but you want something there, and it creates some airflow underneath this too. So the stuff you pile on top gets ignited a little quicker. Okay, so now we've got a little bed of sticks down there. I'm going to build the fire actually on top of those. But I wanted to show this little container. These things, they've got, one fell out. There's two different things you can stick in here. The company itself makes, I think it's called Wet Fire. Those work really good. They'll start wet no matter what. They're good little products. You can stick, I think, 2 of them up here on the top of this. And I don't have one with me today. I forgot to bring one. I usually don't use those very much, mainly because they're kind of expensive. But if you do use them, don't try and use them in the solid block. Take a knife or the edge of this and scrape some of it loose to create smaller particles. And it does start really easy. If you can get just a few little pieces broke off, strike it, it'll fire right up. And then get that bigger piece going. And I don't remember the burn time on those, but they do provide a good opportunity to get a better fire going. Now these are made, I think it's Coghlan is the name of the company. They pretty much any department store sells their products. These are a little harder to find for some reason. Some stores carry them, some don't. They're just wax cotton balls all rolled up real tight. And the secret with these is you need to take them and splay them out a little bit to where you can get to some of the cotton. You want the little fine fibers of the cotton sticking out. My hands are plenty cold right now, so this is a little harder to do. I'm having a heck of a time. But you can see there's some little fine fibers of cotton sticking out now. And that's what you want. You just want a few of those fibers sticking out, and this will light really, really easy. Now the other thing that I normally carry, I keep these in here in case I don't have these. These are just cotton balls soaked in a little bit of petroleum jelly, Vaseline. These work really well too. This is what I usually carry in my pack. The downside to these is make sure you put them in a good bag or good container. Otherwise, it'll break open and you'll have Vaseline all over everything in your pack. So I'll try this little thing. I haven't used these in a while. Let's see if we can get one of these lit and do it that way. And you can stick cotton balls in here with Vaseline in here too. I just prefer not to because I don't want to get it all nasty in there with Vaseline. Like I said, these are just wax coated cotton, but they do work really well. So what I do, put that down in there, try and get it to where it'll burn up. Man, my hands are cold. And then you'll want a bunch of little sticks ready. Once that lights, you'll want a bunch of little sticks at the ready to stick on top of it. This will burn, for a minute or two. Give you a pretty good chance to get some sticks ignited. Pine needles, if you can find some dry pine needles or fir needles, those work really well too. I got a little tree here that's got some. They're not super dry. We'll see if we can get this lit. Whew, my fingers don't want to bend. Didn't really get the cotton exposed. There we go. Now we got some fibers out there. The more fine fibers you can get spread out, the easier this will be to start. There we go. Finally got it light. Just needed to get enough of those fine fibers out there. See, if I was out here in a survival situation, it's amazing how much just even that little bit of fire will help your mentality. Get your hands with some feeling back in them. You know, those little sticks won't last long, so you got to keep a pretty good supply nearby. But you know, in no time, you can have a pretty good fire going and get yourself warmed back up, get some food, maybe some water in you, and make your whole life feel a lot better. Now I've got my fire going over there, but I wanted to show you these cotton balls. I actually prefer these over those, but they're just not as easy to carry inside this. But they actually start much easier than those wax covered ones, that wax covered cotton. And you know, they'll give you a fair amount of burn time to get, so you have some time to get some sticks on here and get a fire going. But because it's really fine fibers, you can see it starts right away. I really enjoy just cotton balls and some Vaseline. I usually leave one side with no Vaseline just so it's really easy to start. The other side's got the Vaseline on it, and so it'll sit there and burn for quite a while. I have tried these, dipping one side in wax. That also works pretty well. But this gives you plenty of time to get some sticks on there and get a fire going. These are absolutely my favorite. But like I said, sometimes I just throw this in my pack with those other little cotton, wax-covered cotton things. And, you know, it makes a nice way to carry a survival kit with you at all times. We'll sit here and just see how long this burns. I can't believe that's still going. Guess I never really looked at how long that would burn. Still a little bit of fire there. Man, that really, I guess I never really paid attention to how long that would burn, but I don't know how many minutes it's been. I haven't been paying a lot of attention, but well, it's just about out, so we'll just consider it out. Like I said, it's still burning a little bit. Wow, that's pretty amazing how long that lasted. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below to this product. Never been a huge fan of the whole striker, flints type fire systems, but this I really enjoy. I'm going to put a link to a second product that's, you don't need two hands to operate. The only bad part about that one is the one part slides over the other part, and as you slide it, it makes a lot of spark. They work really good, but you got to have something hard to push against, and not always out in the woods are you going to find that spot that's going to be real feasible. It is better for if your hands are so cold you can't hardly hold anything. I think that one would actually be a little better because you just need to push on it and it works. The drawback to that one is the strikers seem to wear out fairly fast on them. So I like this one, but I'll put the other one in the description below. And by the way, those are affiliate links for Amazon. So if you purchase anything that day after clicking that affiliate link, whether you buy this product or whatever product it is, it helps our channel out a little bit. If you're just doing your normal Amazon order, click on one of our links first and then go make your order. It doesn't give us a whole lot, but it helps the channel, helps us buy stuff and do giveaways. We're going to give away one of these products probably next month. We'll do one other video promoting this, but we're going to give one of these away with some wet fire. I think that's the name of the product in the handle. Or if you want the little cotton balls with the wax covered cotton balls, we'll do those too. Whatever suits your fancy. But we've got a new one of these sitting in the box that we're going to be giving away to one of the subscribers. So leave us a comment that we're going to go take all the comments off of this video and the video where we actually promote this product. We'll take all those, put it in a random thing, and we'll pick somebody to randomly win one of these little gems. Again, one of my favorite survival products just because it's so small. Throw it in pants, throw it in your backpack, and you've always got it with you. As always, thanks for watching, subscribing. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the support. And remember those affiliate links if you happen to think about it. And we'll see you guys on the next video.